Hi, my name is Connie Strassheim. I'm a medical researcher and writer and the author of 5 books on holistic treatments for different diseases, including Lyme disease and cancer. I'm passionate about the topic of Lyme disease for 2 reasons. One, I'm a Lyme disease survivor, and it took me many years to get adequate help for this illness, and at the time I was diagnosed, there wasn't a lot of good information published on Lyme disease, so I wrote 2 books on the subject. The second book I wrote is a bestseller within the Lyme disease community. It's entitled Insights into Lyme Disease Treatment, and this is the book, and basically it's a compilation of 13 doctors' treatment protocols for chronic Lyme disease. Now, the second reason I'm passionate about Lyme disease is because it's the fastest growing epidemic disease, not only in the United States but around the world, with at least 200,000 new cases every year. And I believe it's really important for information on Lyme disease to be disseminated, to be published, to be talked about, so that people can get properly diagnosed, because for a number of political reasons, it's often misdiagnosed. Now, most recently, I wrote a book, which I just released last week, and it's called Beyond Lyme Disease. And this book, what it does is it describes the other causes of chronic illness in people with Lyme disease besides borreliosis and co-infections. So things like, when I say borreliosis and co-infections, I'm talking about the infections that are commonly transmitted through the tick bite, or however the person got infected, because there are other routes of transmission as well. But the reason I wrote this book is because I felt that there was an undue focus on the treatment of tick-borne infections when people with chronic Lyme would treat themselves or go to their doctors. Now, there are a lot of other conditions that a person has to treat when they get sick with Lyme, because there's a lot of dysfunction in the body created by Lyme disease. For instance, it becomes more difficult for the body to get rid of environmental toxins, so a person with Lyme often has to do aggressive detoxification protocols, not just from the neurotoxins generated by the infectious treatments, but also from the environment. But one thing that I had observed over the years is that through the people that I talked to with Lyme disease and through doctors, was that Borrelia and the tick-borne infections were only one component of disease for a great majority of people, and that not everyone has tick-borne infections as a principal cause of their symptoms. It may be a component of the whole symptom picture, 30% or 50%, just depending on the person. But for other people, there were other causes of illness that were making them sick besides the infections. And these conditions often preceded infection with the tick or preceded them getting sick from Lyme. So what that means is that these causes of illness, I think, should be treated, given at least as much attention as the tick-borne infections, otherwise the person can't recover. So just to give you an example, a lot of people with Lyme disease also have some degree of mold toxicity. Now, over 50% of the homes in the United States have mold, and a quarter of the population can't effectively eliminate the biotoxins that mold generates, which means that a quarter of people who live in a moldy environment will accumulate toxins, mold toxins, in their bodies, and cannot effectively heal until that's addressed. And mold can cause just as many symptoms in the body as, if not more, than tick-borne infections. And so treating mold needs to be given a high priority in a person that has tick-borne disease. And mold is just one factor that makes people with Lyme disease sick. So in this book, in Beyond Lyme Disease, I describe what I believe are 10 to 12 of the most important causative factors of disease in people with tick-borne infections or borreliosis and co-infections, because in reality the infections aren't just transmitted through the bite of the tick, they can be transmitted through other means, which I won't go into this video. But just briefly, some of the topics in this book that I've included, in which I think are primary factors in disease, primary causes of illness in people with Lyme, are adrenal fatigue. A lot of people in our society today have adrenal fatigue because it's something that's caused by living a hectic lifestyle, being exposed to lots of toxins. It's a result of emotional trauma, and healing it often requires much more than just taking a few vitamin C pills or an herb. And Lyme disease, of course, causes any infection in the body can cause adrenal fatigue, but sometimes adrenal fatigue precedes Lyme disease, and where that's the case, then you really need to pay attention to doing a lot of other things to heal the body, to heal the adrenal glands, because they're a part of the immune system, and if the immune system's not working, it could be harder to heal from Lyme and the other conditions in the body. Nutrient deficiencies and toxic food are another primary cause of illness in our society today. Genetically modified foods, pesticides, antibiotics, hormones, all the stuff that they're putting into foods today are causing a great deal of harm to our bodies. And it's not just that people with Lyme disease need to eat well in order to get better, that they require a special organic diet, but in reality, all of us should be eating organic, but there's more to it than that, and so I describe the role of nutrient deficiencies and toxic food in the development of illness involving Lyme. Now, other environmental toxins which are in the atmosphere, which we find in other areas, such as heavy metals, which, that's a major source of toxicity today. It's a major cause of illness today. It's also found in a lot of people with other chronic health conditions, because when the body's compromised by chronic illness, it can't effectively eliminate environmental toxins and particularly heavy metals, which do a lot to destroy the immune system. So pyroluria is another topic that's described in here. That is also tied into heavy metal toxicity. Dental foci infections. I personally know 2 people who had chronic Lyme disease who said that when they got their dental cavitations cleaned out, the infections in their mouths, that they healed much more rapidly. In fact, they said it was just as important to the recovery than as treating tick-borne infections. Electromagnetic pollution is another subject in this book. Electromagnetic pollution is making a lot of people today sick. It sets up conditions in the body for the body to become ill from borreliosis and co-infections, and the reason it does that is because it alters the behavior of the beneficial bacteria in the gut, which are the body's first line of defense against pathogenic organisms. It also alters intracellular and intracellular communications and causes a lot of cellular dysfunction, which then sets the stage for dormant infections to cause problems in the body. So it's not just always that Lyme disease makes a person sensitive to electromagnetic fields, but that those fields in themselves are causing a lot of changes in our bodies, which makes us susceptible to the infections. Parasites are another topic described in this book. Parasites can make a person just as sick as Lyme. They're very tenacious organisms, and because they're tenacious, because they're intelligent, they can be sometimes more difficult to eradicate than the Borrelia and the co-infections. So treating parasites is another topic of this book. And then Candida, yeast infections, which tend to flare in most conditions of chronic illness anyway, so it's important to get rid of those. Opportunistic infections, which are those infections that creep up in the body when there are other bigger problems present, are described in this book. And then there's also an appendix, which just has updated treatment notes from different Lyme disease conferences over the last 2 years. And I just included that as a bonus for people that want information on some of the most updated treatment guidelines for borreliosis and co-infections. So, and GI dysfunction is another topic in this book. And GI dysfunction, I think, is really important because it can set the stage for a whole host of illnesses. And it's really important to keep the GI tract healthy and to heal it, because, for instance, antibiotic regimens can really destroy it. And so it's important to get that healed. And there are a couple other topics described in here, but I won't go into those at this time. I just recommend that you check out the book on the website where it's being sold, and that's Lymebook, LYMEBOOK.com. There's a free sample chapter on there you can read, and you can order the book there. So if you have any questions or comments, I look forward to hearing from you, and you can email me with those at connie9824@aol.com. Thank you.